Perfect.
Thank you.
It's Monday. It's Mark Pires. And it's real talk.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's start over.
No, it's totally fine.
Okay.
To ease my mind and help my living. It's real talk. It's the daily vlog Mark Pires Real Talk. And I'm here today with a very special guest. I have Deanna Trust here, and she is a master Feng Shui. You're a master at Feng Shui, correct?
Some people say that.
Okay. And I was completely impressed the first time I met Deanna, and the reason was the first thing out of her mouth was real talk. She came right at us and said, I want to talk to you about an invisible force, an energy that is as old as time, and it affects everything around us, and we can't see it. But you can't see electricity, and it exists. And how many times have I told you guys, I don't know how computers work, but they work. I don't know how a television works, but it works. Trust things. You don't have to know how they work. They work. Energy is the most powerful thing out there. And I wanted to get Deanna on because I was so impressed with what she said. So, by the way, just thank you for doing this.
My pleasure.
So cool. And today we had Deanna in, and she did a full 2 hours with us and shared all of her secrets about Feng Shui, what's going to help me sell houses more. And as you guys know, I do this. I sell homes during the day and I real talk at night. So Deanna, I just wanted to share a couple of the philosophies I have on real talk and how I think they really connect with what you do with Feng Shui. And then I also wanted to kind of just ask you, I was really just, when you said something about Lifeforce Energy, I started connecting recently that there is a universal energy. It's only one energy. We all think here that it's positive and negative. It's two separate energies, but I believe it's one energy, and it depends on what kind of person you are, and you just take that energy on that way. And also that no matter how bad an energy is, we still absorb it, no matter how much we try to push away. And so
I agree with you.
And I'm trying to get people to realize, look, try to put as many positive people around you as possible to level you up, because they really will bring you down. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, thank you. I'm a believer of one power, we'll call it.
Perfect.
And if we recognize that there is this one power in operation, we can do no wrong because we're not separate from that power. I think sometimes the key for loss is the belief in separation from source. Mm-hmm. Source, again, perhaps could be called one power, life force. But it's not something that we have to go out and find. In fact, it's not even out here. Yes, thank you. It's within. And so if you're fortunate enough to be born into, let's say, a family that shares in this level of consciousness, then you have it made from the start. But some of us, most of us, have to go through many trials and tribulations
in order to connect. I tell you guys,
in order to want so badly to know something that's higher and better.
That makes a lot of sense.
But even at that point, we're feeling like it's out here. And then if we're fortunate, we're given the enlightenment, the epiphany, the inner knowing, the integration of knowledge in the physical self. We're given that. It's a gift that is enigmatic and very truthful. And then we can speak about it because we're speaking from our inner voice.
I love that. And could you shine some light on one of my beliefs? I've become a firm believer that the more you give, the more you open yourself up to opportunities to get. And I know in essence, the idea of giving is that you're not expecting anything back. So I've been doing this for 203 days. Today's 203 days in a row.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I plan on doing it every day for the rest of my life. So I don't know how many days it's going, but I'm never going to stop. And it's to I'm trying to connect this world to something higher than the negativity on this TV screen. I always tell people, shut the TV off, turn on Real Talk, and let's connect, because we're here to help each other go this way and not push each other down while I get. And I think that most people don't understand that, and that's why this show is so important and why I really wanted to have you on, because I could sense that we kind of connect on that same understanding. And I'm like, I go out and just share positivity to everybody. I'm looking for that smile. I have this quote, one of my quotes is, a smile has an energetic value that costs zero to the currency holder. It costs zero to me to give, but it's valuable. And I could affect change with a smile. And if people started understanding, you don't need money to make change. You need to smile at people. You need to hold their hand and tell them that they mean something. And then the other thing, and this is my other favorite thing.
I like this.
My favorite thing in the world is we all have this unique genius within us. One thing we do better than everyone else.
I believe that.
And then the question, and this is what I wanted to talk to you, because you found this, I think, 22 years ago when you started doing what you're doing. I, for a long time, my whole life, had a lot of this in the periphery. I would hear, ooh, what's Mark doing? Ooh, he can't do that. Ooh, no one's doing that. Ooh, that would be a problem. Don't do that. And then I'd stop. I'd stop myself. I'd stop that energy, that intuition of mine from fully going. And so I stopped doing that on December 31st when I started this. And I had people say, you can't do this every day. No one wants to see you every day. And as soon as I heard that, Deanna, I said, I'm doing it every day. Because when people tell me something isn't going to work, I know it's going to work. And my intuition is so much stronger than the negativity around me. I'll always propel above it. And that's why, like I said, I feel like we're on the same path. And I was so impressed with the fact that you found this. And I'm sure on your way to it, you heard a lot of the same stuff. Hey, what are you doing? Feng Shui, what's that? You know, no one was doing it when you started doing it. It was like they were in obviously different parts of the world, but in the U.S. it was kind of a newer thing, right?
Correct.
Okay, so it's like doing a Real Talk, a daily vlog. It's just
so may I share some of my personal story?
I would love that.
Okay, so I went into something like a cocoon, but it's something that I spin myself.
Okay.
And then I to determine what my true life path would be, and to have that uncover and reveal itself. I, being a meditator, I truly believe in meditation as the only key to directing the pathway of inner knowing. And it's only through inner knowing that we find out, what is it? What's my true secret gift? What is it that life has sent me here to reveal? Comes through the inner me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So up to, let's say, 22 years ago, when I found the true me expression this time around, Feng Shui, and also doing healing and energetic work with others, what I did was I asked. I truly believe that if you ask, you will find. And going back to an earlier point that you made, if you give, you will receive. And that's not why we give, as you said. But in giving, I open that currency or conduit to allowing the circulation and the connection. So if I may speak a little bit about what I did, I went within. In fact, I left a job that I didn't really love. And every day I would get into the car and drive to a park. And underneath my seat of the car, where I was sitting, I had a book called The Traveler's Companion by Joseph Campbell. And the name of the book was Follow Your Bliss. And I knew that I needed to believe that there is a bliss, and then just to have it revealed. I then meditated, and prior to the meditation, I would ask to have revealed what my true secret or not so secret expression is in life. And then I would meditate. And during the meditations, I was given visions, pictures, auditory input. And at one point, I started seeing interiors of very luxurious interiors meshing with the interior of my home, which makes me very happy. I love my home. I love the interior of my home. It's a symbol of life for me. And I guess I would say also of truth. So I continued with this inner search to have it determined what my work was. And I went to visit the minister of my church, and she also did what's called regressions.
Okay.
And I paid her $100, and we did a regression. And here's what happened. She said, pretend like you're going down in an elevator, and then I'll tell you when to walk out of the elevator, and then I'll ask you some questions. And so I went down the elevator, which probably somehow brought me into the deeper subconscious mind.
Okay.
And I got off the elevator, and before she could ask any questions, I saw my life unfold in terms of my career, not knowing whether or not I should pursue Feng Shui, because it was going to be taking a risk, following my heart, being spontaneous, and being truthful to myself.
To your intuition.
To my intuition, which was growing by leaps and bounds because I'm a meditator.
It's starting to turn to fire within, I imagine.
Yeah, starting to feel pretty warm. And so what happened was, when I got off this elevator during the regression, I found that I was in this sacred, special place, and there were these beautiful triangular shaped trees, green, shooting up on either side of a path that unfolded very quickly, like unraveled down the center, and then these trees sprouted up on either side. And in symbolism, plants or trees equal growth and entrepreneurial pursuits. Sometimes they also have other interpretations. Green means ripe, and you could take that into other forces. That probably also means remunerated.
Okay.
And then the triangle, the trees were shaped like triangles, is the fire shape. And that's a triangle, the triangular shape equals fire. So I knew that there was something very passionate and lively that was taking place. Well, this all unfolded or unfurled in about 3 or 4 seconds. It sounds like it took a long time, but it didn't. And then following the trees coming up, these little white bunnies started bouncing up out of the grass, and the grass was really green, and they had elliptical eggs. And the ellipse is a very spiritual shape, and the egg probably could be thought of as the cosmic egg, or the egg that has no beginning and ending, yet holds perhaps something equal to the hologram of life, which is a direct reflection of all that is, both pairs of opposites in one.
It's interesting you talk about an egg. Sorry to cut you off, but
no, you're not.
I always, when I try to meditate, I'll imagine myself in an egg that completely covers me,
good.
and it's pure white light around me, so I can get into that quiet state. So that's interesting you said egg.
Yeah, well, this came as a surprise to me that I saw eggs and bunnies, and then they started playfully throwing the eggs at each other, and I thought, boy, this is going to be a lot of fun, or better yet, this is fun. And this was the vision, and the vision kept going. And eventually there was a rainbow that shot across the path.
So you're seeing all positive elements here.
Positive.
Yeah, all positive.
Well, we know in all positive there's a negative.
Okay.
Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, that's why we want to focus on the unified value of life rather than to separate. But yes, you could say very optimistic, very positive visions. I felt very positive. The way I felt inside had a lot to do with my developing my courage and confidence to go out and try it. Because if I failed, it would be okay to fail, but I was going to lose a house that I love very much because I wouldn't have the income to pay for it.
Absolutely. So there was a risk involved.
And then there was, we all have pride in ourselves, and there was that going on too.
Of course.
I wanted to be a success. And, but just to finish up the story, underneath the Rainbow Bridge was a lake, and in Feng Shui, the lake represents the designer self, the creative self, the self in reflection, and the lake brings forth that reflection, and it becomes what we know of as reality. So when we concluded this regression, which I will say I mostly conducted, I knew that I would take that first step or the leap off the cliff and start a Feng Shui business. Because I believed that if you follow your bliss, follow your heart, know what your heart's saying, be honest with yourself, that you will be a success, and you're supported by what some people call the universe or Lifeforce Energy. And there comes a moment there where you absolutely 100% know that you're divinely connected. There's no separation. So you kind of feel really good about what you're doing.
Can I tell you some of the things you said today really stuck out? And one of them, I just went to Nashville because I invented something. I invented an instrument, and we went down.
Did?
Yeah, we went down to show the music world this week, which was really cool.
Oh,
and
nice.
I think about how many times, because it was my wife and I. She runs the business, and she and I were down there. And how many times we ran into the people that she made so many phone calls and LinkedIn to try to connect with people to see the gig box.
I love that. Oh,
And
the gig box.
It's called the gig box. It's the first drum in the world for guitar players. So you could sit on a perfect seat to play instrument on, a guitar, a piano. And it's also the first drum you could play with your hands and feet too. And then the third avenue is it's actually a powerful sensory therapy drum for anyone with a special need, autism, Alzheimer's.
Wonderful.
So we're really hoping the whole world finds a benefit from this.
Yes, I believe it.
I also wanted to ask you something. I believe I was put here to help this world. I don't know in what capacity. I think in this capacity, sort of. I wrote about 130 songs. The songs I wrote were about 15 to 20 years ago. And the songs, I play them a lot on this show now. And the words are real talk. I was writing what I'm saying and feeling now into song 15 years ago. And you mentioned something about how you feel that it has to be through meditation. I meditate when I play music. It's a very interesting thing, but one of the things I do here on the show is every week I improvise a song in real time.
Oh, you do?
I start with nothing, blank slate. And I just sit there and
I love that.
Start playing chords, I start kicking my gig box, and the words come to me. And everything that comes out of me is straight from the universe, because if you listen to it, you'd think I wrote it years ago, and I'm repeating these things. Such powerful words, like nothing can stop me but me. And all these things just come out in real time. And I know that that's my connecting to my higher self, as you were saying. And it's this whole thing, this culmination. Now I just turned 41 in April, and it took me 40 years to find what I'm doing. That it wasn't music alone. It was talk, music together. It's all encompassing.
It was real talk.
It was real talk. I was so afraid to talk when I was on stage. Like I would try to make people laugh. I just felt uncomfortable. The guitar was a crutch. And when we started this and I didn't have the guitar, something changed within me. I realized I don't need anything. All I need to do is let this speak. Now I go unscripted, just like we're doing right now, every day for the last 203 days. And I'd go on for roughly an hour every night. And what do I talk about? I don't know. Positivity, connecting. Usually I get to telling people things like, just because you're good at something doesn't mean you're going to get there. It's about being good at something plus time. And that equals result. People forget about the time factor. I've been pushing this instrument for a year now. We're still doing it. It's going to change the world of music. It's going to change the world for special needs people. But I'm still pushing so hard. No one knows about it yet. It doesn't happen overnight. I have to keep going as hard as I can, like you did, because it starts with your belief in yourself. And you found that. And then that pushed you in the direction where you said, you know what? I saw bunnies hopping. I'm going
You're
for
right.
it. I'm going
you were
for
hopping,
it. Yeah.
and they were throwing things.
And you're like, I'm going in that
at each
direction.
other, connecting. Okay, I got it.
And you start thinking, to your point of that there's a negative within all positive. That's interesting because I made a kind of a connection here before, and I don't know if this is true, that if you figure on positive and negative being cut right down the middle, if you are 49% negative, or I'm sorry, if you're 51% positive, you become all positive. All you need to do is be a little over the whole hump, right? Because to your point, there is negativity in everything, but you have to try to be more on that positive side, and that will, because it's a momentum shift. I don't think people realize that. It takes a little time if you're in the negative to get back to the positive. And once you're there...
I totally agree with you.
You do? And then once you're there, it's there for a little while. If you could keep it. And if you can continue to give while you're there, it will stay. But you can't get greedy about it. The world gets greedy. People get, and then they just want more. And I think what makes us really unique is seeing people get. don't know why that makes me feel so great, is to see people get. Like, I want you to be the greatest. I want it to, you know what I mean? Everybody around me, I want them to get.
Yes.
And that makes me get, I just feel like I level up when everybody else gets. And that's what my goal is. And that's why I'll come on every day for the rest of my life. I just want to put positivity out there. One of my mottos is to effect a positive change one person at a time. Now, we started with 30, we're up to over 2,000. It's a slow process, but I'm not expecting anything. I'm just going to come out every day and keep going, you know? And I'm loving it. I'm loving what I do.
You have the keys to happiness, love, success, high spirituality or high consciousness. You have the keys.
So you think
And
I'm on the right
your
path?
fieriness and your enthusiasm and your inspirational abilities are very contagious and make me want to open up more and make me want to just keep unfolding
That
into the
makes me
highest
thrilled.
we can be.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's what we're here
Yeah.
to do, is to help
And
each
it's
other
all
find
energy.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And I had a gentleman on from Los Angeles on the show about 4 months ago, because he mentioned something you probably know of. He called it star energy. Because he's a healer, he does a lot of Reiki, and there's something I want to talk to you about as well. But so he was telling me about this star energy, and he said it's shooting laser beams of energy out. And I go, geez, that sounds kind of like what I do. And he goes, you do that. You're shooting positivity out. And he goes, you got to start thinking bigger than just the little point. So when about 4 months ago, we had 2 situations come where people asked me to do an energy session for them, where all I did, and tell me if I was on the right path, I only go with what my intuition tells me to do here, but I just felt as much, I always say we have the power of the sun within us. Each of us has the power of the sun. And so I put that out, instead of in one direction, I put it completely out. And I had a source in mind. And I asked everybody online with me to send their positive energy to my source. Does that work? Like, if I have them think about my source, does it go to my source? I figured it would, because in church we're all praying to something, and we say amen, or so I have a feeling that is exactly how it works. I'm feeling it, and as long as people can attach to my energy, it goes to where I want it to. I don't know if you agree with that. Does that sound like it's possible? I know you said a thought can be felt thousands of miles away.
Yes, I said that today, didn't I? And to know that when you're thinking of someone, you're sending them that message, so to speak, and it does affect us in a positive way or not so positive, depending on the message, because we're all connected.
Absolutely.
No separation. I think when we live fully from our heart, that heart sends love, and this love is never ending. It has like an infinite value, and it's eternal. And it is, it's a language of its own, and all people can recognize it because we all have that seed of it within us. And so let your love shine bright, or let your love shine like the sun.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. Might be a good title for a song or something along that line. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a long, big, full conversation. And what you're doing is something that's extremely helpful to the world, because you know and understand and live your message. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so many of us wish that we had that inner spark and that energy coming in that's very intelligent and knowledgeable and helpful, so that we can be truer to ourselves and be the biggest, most expressive self that we can conjure. So you have that, and you're able to give it to others through your show.
Much.
And your show's just going to grow and be a source of connectivity. And like you said earlier, we're missing that. And
We really are. This is such a sad thing. It actually, being in this area, as you know, you're out trying to help us sell houses. I walk around in a community of people that are so depressed because no one's buying homes, or people can't sell homes, and this was one of the reasons why I started this. I just couldn't stand all the negativity I feel on a daily basis. I said, I gotta just try to be the source of positivity.
Yeah.
You know, and I've always felt like I was supposed to do that. I just kind of held back, but now I'm like, I gotta just go full force, because it just starts to get me down, and I've always been just way above that 51%. I try to push it out to people that are around me because I don't want them feeling down. And it's weird, I've been doing this my entire life on a one-on-one basis, or with my clients or my friends. And in college, they'd say, hey, Mark, what do you think of this? And all of a sudden, something would come out of here, and it was always the right answer. And I also think it's kind of interesting. I say this too. Some people are taught things. Some people go to school and they read books. And there are some people who are better and understand it far more than the people who read up on it. I didn't take any classes on the things I say. I let my spirit come out, and the words come with it. And I can't explain how I come to some of these connections, but I guess as an inventor, it allows me to free my mind a little more than some people, and it lets me just go for things and say, you know what, if my intuition's telling me that could be, it probably is, you know, and it's never led me wrong. I think my entire life, if I look back, the only times I've ever been steered wrong, it's by people and not by my intuition.
Not when we live by what we know to be true, but
We start listening to the people
started
around us.
doubting
Yeah.
our truth, and then started believing what wasn't true, perhaps.
Now, can I ask one quick question? Because this is an interesting thing. Because when you're doing something like this, for example, or if you're doing something, I think about someone, like I know you have some very successful clients. When you're on the way in a path and you're doing things, you hear a lot of negativity, but you also have a lot of people that don't want you to make it. So to your point,
That's a good point.
Yeah, if everybody having a
that
feeling,
happens, yes.
yeah, and if people have a feeling that's going to affect you, are there any tricks that you have in mind where you could say, look, it's going to come at me regardless. I'm going to keep being my positive self. I think about it this way. No matter how much negativity comes at me, I'm so much more positive than it that I'll just blow it out of the water. That's where my mindset is. However, if that really is a thing where people can take you down just by not wanting you to get there, do you have any tricks for our listeners, anybody who may think that?
Well, it took me a long time to learn this because it was a weak area for me. But what I've learned to do is to develop the art of discernment and be able to discern if that person that I'm connecting with, standing close to, or somehow in a conversation or some kind of discourse, to better understand what their true motives are and who they are inside. We're often very misled by, number one, our love for being well liked.
That's interesting.
You know,
very interesting.
Our love for being accepted. And so we start shaking our head like this.
And missing some of the red flags.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And realizing that inside I'm starting to feel a little nauseous. Well, why would that be? Probably because you're with some energy that isn't quite up to par. It's not matching real well, and it's not what you want. So when that happens, we have to then take action and leave the premise.
That makes sense.
Push the person away energetically, or leave the premise and say that, you know, say to yourself, I'm entitled to have boundaries, I'm entitled to have likes and dislikes, I'm entitled to have feelings, I'm entitled to pick up energy and read what's really going on. And so it's taken me a long time to learn this, but now I act on my inner feeling about someone, because there's so many people that are so attractive and they make you feel so charming, or however, you know, we like to feel, and they're really leading you down a path that's not ever going to be successful or worthwhile, and they're not worth your time.
Absolutely.
Because you could be investing that with those who are more worth your time.
That's a very good point.
And the law of attraction does take place. So as I open myself and I spend myself, which I do believe was the beginning of our conversation, that in order to put into action that law of abundance and that law of fulfillment, we have to give fulfillment. We have to spend our lives, spend our love, take chances, spend our courage, and then spend our discernment, because I'm going to be wherever I direct my focus. I'll
Absolutely.
be there.
Absolutely. That's a great point. We're putting that energy out anyway. It's got to go out. It's just where you put it. So I like that, being discerning a little bit more about the people that you come across. You know, we come across people that they'll look one way, and then after a couple weeks, to your point, you'll start seeing things. You're like, wait, that's been there the whole time. Why didn't I realize that?
And we discern how our body is feeling. One of my truths, something I've learned along the way, is that my body never lies. It's a huge barometer of the temperatures and the forces and the pressures out, what we call out here. So if I'm not feeling well, if I start feeling kind of prickly or icy, or get a headache, or pain shoots off someplace, I want to know what's going on.
Something's making you feel like that in your environment. That's
I'm
interesting.
allowing it.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then when I recognize that I'm allowing this, I can also use that power to turn it off.
Wow.
And then walk away.
Well, it's interesting too, because I've talked about this before with my listeners, where it used to be a joke in my old office, where if there was energy going on that, and I didn't know I did this till my old manager brought this up, there would be people talking about other agents, negative, how did she get that, or all this stuff. And I would get up and walk out of the room.
Good for
to
you.
your point. And then so
you.
my old manager used to say, have you guys ever seen Mark, how he physically reacts when negativity's going on? He'll get up and leave a room. And now I realize, now I specifically do it. And I love when people say, where are you going? I say, guys, this isn't a conversation for me. You guys have a good conversation.
Great lesson,
I'm
Mark.
out of here, because it is such a negative pull. I don't think...
Pick
I don't
your
think
poison,
you guys,
Mark. Pick your poison.
Yeah, I don't think you guys realize how powerful energy is. Whether it's positive or negative, it's equally as powerful. So stick with the positive, because it's so much warmth. It's so much warmth. You want to change your life? Feel positive.
The word.
It is so powerful, and the negativity is just as powerful. So stay away from it. You want to stick around people like Deanna. You want to be around people who are going to build you up to make you feel lighter. This is what we're here to do, guys. I met this amazing woman who's living on the same path. We're doing real talk. I heard her, she said, it's an invisible life force energy, as old as time. Those are her words. That's real talk. The same words I said to you a month ago. And that's what blew my mind, is we're saying, I'm like, that's why I said, I knew what Feng Shui is. Am I saying it correctly?
Yes, you are.
And I knew what it was. But then it's funny, a 5,000-year-old philosophy is the same stuff that the spirit of the universe is saying through me on a daily basis for 203 days.
Yes. My modality for that is Feng Shui and healing, and your modality is real talk and inventing.
And music,
And making the world.
And connecting people to a positivity.
Reconnecting people.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
Is there anything you want to chat about before you go? I kept you a lot longer than I thought we would. I'm sorry. This is amazing, though.
Time well spent.
No, it absolutely was.
Thank you.
I know, it was a pleasure. And I know I'm going to hear from people here. I would love to do this again if you're ever up for it. And whenever, down the line, whenever. If you ever are up for it, this was an absolute honor to have you on the show.
Let's partner.
I love it.
Being discerning, guys, I'll have to say yes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, watch a couple clips. Make sure you like it. But anyway, guys, it's been a real...
That's a good idea.
Yeah, check out some of my clips. Make sure you like it.
Okay.
And guys, it's been really awesome. This is one of the coolest experiences ever, having Deanna on with me. And if you do need to have an expert come in and tell you how to get your house ready to sell, she knows what she's doing. And one thing she taught me about one of my properties is to bring water in the foyer, and immediately we have interest. So it's a real thing.
Water's a connector.
Water's a connector. Energy is so powerful, guys. I thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, guys. See you later. I'll see you tonight on Real Talk.